Essentially, we are representing the three stakeholders, tenants, most importantly, the community garden next to Prospero Hall, and the Block Association. When we hear about the safety issues from inside the building, for example, tenants said that they're really concerned about when people knock on the door at night, they have to carry a weapon. So there is safety issues, and we just want to make sure there is awareness and talk about a constructive proposal to work on this together and build a stronger community.
Everyone, my name is Pat Martin, and concerns in the building is that there are quite a few drug pushers who are living in the building, and they're making the tenants feel a little uncomfortable because I think, I don't know if you all are familiar, but we've had quite a few drug overdoses in the building. Sometimes the I don't know if they're the buyers or the sellers, they're in the lobby and they give the security a hard time. We've had instances of folks knocking on our door in the middle of the night because they're at the wrong apartment. Sometimes they're congregated in front of the building. Now, everyone deserves the right to have a place to live, to have a roof over their head. However, what we're feeling is that there should be a bit more, how would you say, screening for those who are moving into the buildings, because as well as those who are suffering from the addiction, and addiction is, it's a illness, it's a sickness, and we understand that, but we also deserve to feel safe in our living space also. And that's all that we're asking, is that consideration be given to those of us who are not the part of the community that is selling drugs, using drugs, but we want to live in our environment and feel safe in that environment also. I know that some tenant meetings have been taking place, and we thank you for that, Brian, for stepping up and listening to what has to be said. But where do we go from here so that we can all feel safe where we live?
Anyone else?
Perhaps the gardeners.
Hello, my name is.
On that, we also have a garden in the backyard, in the back of Prospero Hall, and a couple of the ladies were growing vegetables, and some of the tenants were enjoying sitting in the backyard, but it has become a haven for those who are on drugs. I mean, you go back there now and you find discarded needles, folks are throwing their used alcohol bottles out the window. There's a young lady who constantly moves into the incinerator room. You know, we're throwing her out of the incinerator room because I guess that's where she when she comes into the building, she goes in there and hides when her boyfriend throws her out of his apartment. So these are some of the concerns that we have here in Prospero Hall.
Thank you. Mr. Dickerson? I'm sorry, Ms. Warren, I didn't see your hand. I apologize.
Oh, okay, it's okay. What I like to say, a tour is a beautiful thing to do. You'll see you'll see what you want to see. But I would say if you really want to do something, why don't you put notices in the doors of the tenants and the committee meet with the tenants and hear the tenants. It's great to put a poster downstairs, but it's another thing to notify the tenants by putting notices under the door, inviting them to a meeting, and then hear what we have to say, like as a group. Some folks are afraid to speak up because they're afraid of retaliation. But if they come as a group, I think you'd have you garner more information. So a tour will tell you nothing except for what the building looks like. Yes, there are needle deposits in all of the compactor rooms. There's a 24/7 guards here, but I think you want to hear from the residents.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Xavier, and then Claudia.
Hi, I'll wait for Claudia and then I'll give some.
I would promise you, you sound like NYCHA residents at this moment. You understand? And it is a safety and security issue. So, but we all know, due to the fact of the housing, that we have a certain demographic. So we know that users are never far away from their dealers. So this is like the man said earlier, where it's something you have to get rid of the dealers. You have to make sure that they're not able to, and once you get rid of them, you have to make sure that they're not able to come back. And it also goes back to one of my board members stating this about the safety and security of having the security guards. It also, from hearing what you said, it sounds like the security that is in the building is even afraid because it's only one security guard and he's outnumbered by the dealers in the building or whatever other activity is going on. So again, this to me, like, it's an NYPD problem. So I'm seeing it as a NYPD problem and your management as well, because they're supposed to provide safety and security. So it's sort of just like when you revert it, NYCHA is supposed to have safety and security, but everything you mentioned happens in public housing. So at the same time, we all know it's public safety falls under the NYPD. So that's where this has to be really pushed for them to move on what you're saying. I yield the floor back.
Thank you, Claudia. Xavier?
My name is Sean Hill. I am the garden coordinator for Lydia's Magic Garden, which is immediately adjacent to Lantern Organization's Prospero Hall. And I simply want to just report that we repeatedly, but not every day, but repeatedly have to do scans of our grounds, particularly next to Prospero Hall, to make sure that there are no uncapped or for any matter syringes of any sort. We typically find that we pick up uncapped syringes. There's often soiled undergarments. We found sanitary products. There is someone who is very fond of peach vodka that throws the little airline bottles out. That's the least of our worries. But ultimately, the problem is that for our gardeners, we cannot simply enjoy the garden and assume that the garden is safe when we walk in having unlocked the gate. We have to instruct all of our gardeners that every time they open the garden, they have to do a patrol walk next to Prospero Hall to check for sharps, to check for soiled underwear, to check for cloths with blood on them. And this has now become a regular routine. We're not able to simply enjoy the garden as such. The other problem is we frequently have Girl Guides come to the garden. We have children visit the garden. And it is very disconcerting. We cannot even have dogs come to the garden because of the fear of stepping on syringes. So we've kept a syringe container inside our shed. We routinely purchase pickers to pick that up. but I will just say it has been, not every day, but I will say that it has been an ongoing concern over the last 6 years or so. So that's